Big news for Bengals fans. Rookie camp surprise. Hey Bengals fans, something unexpected just happened, and you'll definitely want to hear this. This year's first round pick, Shamar Stewart, and second round pick, Demetrius Knight Jr. are making headlines, but not in the way you'd expect. The Bengals held their rookie minicamp, but unlike most teams that do it over a full weekend, the Bengals only had a one-day camp. And here's the twist. Both Shamar and Demetrius didn't participate. They were there, talking with coaches and watching from the sidelines, but they didn't take part in any drills. Why? It's because they're still working on their contracts. Until everything is officially signed, they don't want to risk getting injured. It's a smart move. And don't worry, they're still covered in case something happens. This is just how business works sometimes in the NFL. So stay tuned. We'll keep following their journey and let you know what happens next. Things are just getting started. Now, don't panic. This isn't about injuries or drama. It's all about one thing: contracts. Every other rookie, Dylan Fairchild, Barrett Carter, Jalen Rivers, and Tajh Brooks had already signed on the dotted line and jumped into action. But Stewart and Knight, they stayed on the sidelines. And there's a good reason why. Let's start with Shamar Stewart. He was there, dressed, and fully engaged, just not participating in drills. Why? He hasn't signed his rookie deal yet. And here's what he had to say about it. I just decided not to sign those papers. I hate being on the sideline looking at everybody else do work. You can feel his frustration. Shamar wants to be out there. But this is the NFL. It's not just football anymore. It's business. Without a signed deal, there's too much risk. Would you show up to work without a signed contract? Neither would he. Most likely, his agent advised him to wait it out to avoid injury before the paperwork is settled. Same goes for Demetrius Knight Jr. He wasn't in pads either, but he wasn't checked out. Instead, he was doing what athletes call mental reps. That means watching every play, visualizing his role, and learning everything without physically taking snaps. When reporters asked about it, Knight gave a pretty cool response. The best of the best do that. Drew Brees did it. Imagery is key. That's some elite mindset, and if you haven't heard his story yet, it's inspiring. Demetrius started out at Charlotte, then transferred to South Carolina, chasing a better NIL deal, not just for himself, but for his family. Yep, this guy was working a job, going to school, playing football, and providing for his wife and child. After practice, while most players were heading to the locker room, he was heading to work, just to make sure his baby had formula. That's the kind of dedication you can't teach. Both Stewart and Knight bring more than just talent. They bring heart, leadership, and character. They were captains in college, and they already feel like natural fits in the Bengals locker room. So no, this isn't a case of players skipping out or being difficult. This is business, plain and simple. Frustrating? A little. We'd all love to see them on the field, especially with only one day of rookie minicamp. But don't worry, they'll get signed, most likely in the next week or two, and they'll be ready for OTAs and preseason. In the meantime, let's shift gears. Let's talk about the players who did participate and one guy who's always got the inside scoop, Dan Hoard, the Bengals' legendary radio play-by-play voice. He's got 5 big takeaways from rookie camp, and trust me, you'll want to hear them. Let's go over the 5 key takeaways from Bengals rookie camp, shared by radio play-by-play announcer Dan Hoard. First, he highlighted our new offensive line coach, Scott Peters. He's already made a strong impression by being super hands-on with the young linemen, especially third-round pick Dylan Fairchild, who's officially under contract. Peters brings a wrestling background, just like Fairchild, who actually went undefeated as a wrestler in school. That kind of connection matters. Peters isn't just teaching from the sidelines, he's in the mix, coaching with his hands. And that's a perfect fit for Fairchild, who could become one of the best guards in the league under his guidance. Second, Dan mentioned undrafted center Seth McLaughlin. He's recovering from an ACL tear last November and wasn't playing, but he was out there observing. Before his injury, he was projected to go in the 3rd round. He's progressing well and hopes to be ready for training camp. When asked why he chose the Bengals, his answer was simple: great offense. compete for Super Bowls. I've won a championship at every level. That mindset speaks volumes. Seth came to Cincinnati because he believes this team can win it all. And honestly, with Joe Burrow and Shamar Chase leading the offense, why shouldn't they? Third, defensive tackle Dante Barnett joined through the NFL's International Player Pathway program. Barnett is from England, and because of the program's rules, he can be on the practice squad without taking up a regular spot. Head coach Zac Taylor praised his attitude and raw talent. It'll be exciting to watch how fast he adapts and where he fits in. His story could become one of the most interesting this offseason. Fourth, long snapper Will Wagner, considered the best in this year's class, signed with the Bengals to compete with 3-year starter Cal Adamitis. Coach Taylor explained, "We want competition across the board. Long snapper is no different. And that's what stands out here. No position is safe, even special teams. The coaches are pushing for competition at every spot, from quarterback to long snapper. That competitive edge is what separates playoff teams from Super Bowl contenders." Let's finish up Dan Hoard's 5 key takeaways with a few more important insights. Coach Zac Taylor made one thing clear. He wants competition at every position. No room for being comfortable. He believes that when a position gets lackluster, when guys stop pushing themselves, that's when a team starts to slip. That's why even with stars like Joe Burrow and Shamar Chase, who are obviously secure in their roles, the message stays the same. Compete every day. You never know who's going to need to step up due to injuries, so everyone has to be ready. That's why a guy like Seth McLaughlin, even with veterans like Ted Karras and rookie Matt Lee ahead of him, wants to come in, compete, and make everyone better. It's all about pushing the standard higher and chasing that Super Bowl. Dan's 5th observation was all about opportunity, specifically for undrafted free agents. Last year, guys like Ryan Reckow, Jackson Kirkland, and Cam Grandy came in as undrafted rookies, and they made the team. Now, a new wave of UDFA talent is looking to follow their path. One name to watch: defensive tackle Eric Gregory out of Arkansas. Zac Taylor had a great quote: "If you're undrafted and want a chance, come to Cincinnati. We'll give you the same opportunity we give our draft picks." That mindset is rare in the NFL. Many teams treat UDFAs like long shots, but not the Bengals. Look at Vontaze Burfict, one of the best linebackers in franchise history. He wasn't drafted either. In Cincinnati, it's not about where you're picked, it's about what you can do. This approach makes me especially excited about our entire rookie class, including the UDFAS. With players like Howard Cross III from Notre Dame and Eric Gregory, we've added real depth on the defensive line, and if these guys perform, they'll play. Simple as that. You just never know who's going to break out. That's what makes football so special. Maybe one of these rookies, or even an undrafted guy, ends up becoming one of the best offensive tackles in Bengals history. That's why I love Zac Taylor's quote so much, because in the NFL you really can't predict who's going to become great. Sure, scouts and analysts can evaluate talent. They can point out strengths and weaknesses, but no one truly knows who's going to make that leap. Take Trey Hendrickson, for example. He had just 4 sacks in his first 3 years with the Saints. Then he comes to Cincinnati, and since 2020, he's been leading the entire NFL in sacks. Year after year. No one saw that coming. Same with Vontaze Burfict. He went undrafted and turned into one of the most impactful linebackers in Bengals history. And, of course, the ultimate example, Tom Brady. Pick 199. Now the greatest of all time. That's why I'm so fired up about this rookie class, drafted and undrafted. I've watched a lot of these guys in college. I've seen how they lead. I've seen how they fight. And I genuinely believe each one of them has something to offer the 2025 Bengals. Thanks again for watching this video. And by the way, we're just getting started. We've got a new name and a new face on the Bengals Digest team. I'm Carson Loki, and I'm joining up with Isaac to bring you Bengals news, updates, and breakdowns every single day. So if you love the Bengals like we do, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're We're pushing toward 100 subs, and I know we're going to get there with your support. Drop a comment below and let us know how you feel about the Shamar Stewart and Demetrius Knight Jr. news, and tell us which rookie you're most excited to see in 2025. For me, it's hard to choose, but I'll go with Tajh Brooks. I can't wait to see him work with Chase Brown in the backfield and help protect Joe Burrow.